welcome to the show, family. It's officially our first episode, and I'm super excited to have you here along for the journey. On this podcast, we are going to be talking everything spirituality, consciousness, personal development, and so much more, with the intention to create change and transformation on the planet. I wanted to start this journey and this episode in particular by sharing some of my own experience, some of my own journey that has this amazing awareness that we can develop, that we can get access to by recognizing our true and divine nature. I want to start small and then build our way up, although there are so many mystical and magical experiences that I've had in my life that have completely changed the trajectory in which I understand and see this world, and I will be talking about that too. So we want to start off today by taking you back, way back, to the childhood experience. It is in our childhood that so much of who we are today has informed our ways of being, our ways of feeling, seeing, and perceiving this reality, which makes a lot of sense because in those first couple years of life, we are developing our worldview. We are coming into terms with our own identity. We are learning about how this reality works through the people, places, and experiences that we find ourselves in. One of the things that I want to emphasize is that as a child, we come into this world pure. Not only are we pure, we are extremely magnetic. Do you ever notice how magnetic a child is, a baby is? Everybody wants to be around it, play with it, touch it, hold it, because it has that pure divine essence. It just came from source. So it has that pure creation inside of it before the world informs it on who it is and who it can be. And I want to start there because if we understand that we came into this world with that pure potential, then what does that mean for who we can become by understanding where we've come from? Now, I don't want to put a massive emphasis on the past because there is potent potential in what is occurring in the here and now. But as Carl Jung said, until we make the unconscious conscious, we will call it fate and it will run our lives. So there is an importance in becoming aware of what has formulated the now being in order to inform the greater knowing, which really is returning back to that child state that's free and pure and uninhibited, unadulterated, limitless. Today, I want to talk to you about my own spiritual awakening, my own journey on expanding my consciousness and what has led me here today. And it began in 2012, around that time, and I was seeking something greater. I remember at some point in that journey, I felt so trapped in my life, and I was like, there has to be more. It can't just be working all day and slaving and this be life. And when I say that, this is in no way to dishonor the process of a 9-to-5 or dishonor the process of working jobs and things of that nature. But it is to express the deeper desire within me that was burning for something greater. And I'm making this video in 2024 where I think we can see that this generation has done an incredible job at creating new ways of designing income, of tapping into that potential of being a creator in your life. We're seeing so many more entrepreneurs, creators, influencers, and people that are designing their life. And this concept of designing my life first was introduced to me in 2012 when, again, I was in a point in my life where I was seeking something different. I wanted a way out of the current life that I was living, and I wanted something greater. I was desiring it. I was like, come on, life, there's got to be more to this than this. And that allowed me to become available to an opportunity that presented itself to me via World Ventures. Now, some of you may know about this concept because when it landed in New York, it took off, Team No Sleep. And essentially, it is a network marketing company. Now, I'm not here to debunk any network marketing beliefs and ideas around that concept, but I am here to share with you that that was a pivotal turning point in my life that led me to the spiritual awakening that is nurturing what you see here today. What really cracked it open for me was that the company was promoting this concept of fun, freedom, and fulfillment, and designing a life and creating an income that allows you to be your own boss. Now, for a girl that came from Brooklyn who didn't grow up around entrepreneurs, and maybe there were business owners around me, but that idea wasn't presented to me in a way that I could see that for myself, I was like, oh, you mean to tell me that there's another way to experience this here reality? And that I can make money for myself by fun, freedom, and fulfillment by simply being myself? That's a possibility. Hey, sign me up. And that's exactly what I did. I signed up. And one of the great things about that experience was that their core pillars included personal development. In order for you to be able to lead people, you have to be able to lead yourself. So it provided an atmosphere for the leader within to be developed, right? They had seminars, there were trainings, there were all kinds of things that were helping us to become aware of how to nurture, develop, and connect with ourselves first and foremost, and then to be able to create change and transformation in the world. And so this was a game changer for me. Now, in the process of navigating this company, in 2012, I think I joined the company before 2012, but this was when the awakening occurred, when I really became aware of it. Maybe I was priming up for this point, but this is where the awakening occurred. Around that time, I was studying a lot of The Secret, if those of you who don't know, by Rhonda Burns, or those of you who do know, Rhonda Burns, the first concept that I've gotten introduced to around the law of attraction and manifestation. And I was on a manifestation craze. I was telling everybody about the law of attraction and manifestation universe, and everyone was looking at me like, this girl is crazy. What is she talking about? What is she on? And now look at where we are, 2024, and it's all in this reality. Let's just insert here that if you have a brewing idea within you that is emerging within you and the world hasn't caught up yet, you better keep on going, because that might be the doorway into something magical, mystical, and powerful, maybe even abundant for you. This is where genius occurs. Anyway, I'm not saying that I was the founder of this, but I do remember walking a very lonely walk at the beginning of that journey, as far as no one else in my world was really aware of these concepts. So anyway, there was a trip that changed my life, and it was back in 2012, I think it was around November, and we were going to Texas, Dallas, Texas, for a seminar, for training, and for the company. And I just remember at that time, I didn't have the funds to go, but I was learning about manifestation. I was learning about the secrets, so you couldn't tell me I wasn't going. I was going to Texas, and there was going to be a way that presented itself. And I think that this entire trip was a testimony of this power. So here's the story. I remember one day I was at an event and I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, we were talking about Texas. Everyone's excited. We're like, we're going to this training, we're going to this other state, we're gonna meet our friends from around the world, boom, boom. And I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I don't currently have the funds or a way that I can see to get there, but I know that I'm gonna get there. And he was like, oh, I have a buddy pass. I work for the airline, so you can have it if you want. I was like, oh, thanks. So I get the buddy pass, get on the flight. We're on the same flight. And I remember at the beginning of the flight, the plane was kind of empty. And I went to go sit next to my friend before the plane took off, just to like catch up before we take off. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking, and then the flight attendant comes to me and she's like, Miss, you need to go back to your seat. No problem. I go back to my seat. And I'm, of course, like brewing in this energy. We're all excited. We're going to Texas. We're going to connect. We're going to have this fun thing happen. And I'm talking to the person in front of me. We're getting into a deep conversation, boom, 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 all this energy, right? And I'm so in an excitement that I was lacking a little bit of awareness at that time, because the flight attendant was sharing the safety protocol, and during that time I was feeling super cold, so I got up and went into the overhead bin to get my sweater, and she got upset and she was like, "You can't do that while I'm talking." Sorry again. And after that occurs, the plane starts taking off, right? It's on the runway and it's getting ready to build its momentum to take off. And next thing you know, we hear an announcement that they want to remove someone off the plane. And we're all looking around like, what's going on? Who are they removing off the plane? Dun, dun, dun. Next thing you know, 2 cops walk up to me and they're like, "Ma'am, we have to remove you off the plane." And I'm like, what? Why? Immediately, I become full of shame and guilt and sadness, and I just start crying. I get my stuff and I walk off the plane. And I'm sitting on the run, you know, the walkway that you walk through before you enter the plane. I'm sitting there with my stuff, and one of the cops comes up to me and he's like, "Do you know why you got kicked off the plane?" I was like, "No, I had no idea." And he's like, "The flight attendant said that she read your lips and you called her a B-I-T. Complete the sentence." I was like, "What? I did not do that." He was like, "Well, she said she doesn't feel safe with you on the plane, and so she removed you." And I was like, what is going on? This was crazy. Anyway, I'm still with excitement, even though all this craziness is happening. Some deep part of me was like, we're still excited. We're going to Texas. I don't know what all this is, but we're going to Texas. So anyway, I sat down outside of like where the loading station is, where everyone sits before they take off. And a few minutes after that, my friend that got me the buddy pass, he gets kicked off the plane. I was like, what is going on here? Okay. And I was like, "Why did you get kicked off the plane?" He said, "Because I put my headphones on when she was giving the safety instructions." And I was like, no way. This feels like a scene out of Final Destination. No way. No way. We're not meant to be on the flight. Something is happening. We're not meant to be on that flight. So anyway, he continues on his journey. He finds another flight because he works for the airline. And I go to book another flight. And the flights are like $1,500. And remember, I told you I didn't have the budget at that time to book a flight. So I was like, look, we're gonna get to Texas somehow. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to figure it out. And then a friend of mine calls from North Carolina, and I share my dilemma, and they're like, just take the bus to North Carolina and you can drive down with us to Texas. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I make my way to Manhattan and to Canal Street, and I get on the bus going to North Carolina. It's like a 16-hour ride. One of many that I ended up taking. It was my first time. And I remember when I got on the bus, I had this feeling that I was going to meet someone. Shortly after, someone joined the bus elevator stop. And there was a gentleman who came and sat next to me. And we began having this deep conversation. I'm talking about law of attraction and manifestation and just all these things, right? I was so excited and turned on by this concept. And the whole bus ride, we went into a deep process, right? And I felt so full from that conversation. And I felt like something was happening. Like, it was strange. I couldn't explain it, but something was happening. Awakening. So, get to North Carolina now. I'm here with my friends, and we end up driving to Texas. So in Texas, I was having this really profound major shift occurring inside of me. So we get to Texas now. We're there, we're in our process of the seminar, and dun, 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 plot twist again. New York got hit with Hurricane Sandy. So there's hundreds of us from New York in Texas, and we're stranded in Texas. And we're like, everyone is like, oh great, we're just having an extended vacation now. And one of our mentors had a mansion out there, so they were like gonna provide a whole experience for us to go spend time in the mansion. So we're like, oh, this is great. And again, I want to just highlight this fine line of awareness. Despite all of these crazy perceived experiences, there's something in me that was just leading with possibility, leading with positivity. And it was a major key in unlocking the magic, or being available to the magic that was there because of who I was being and how I was thinking and how I was steering my creation during all these perceived crazy obstacles. None of them felt like obstacles when I look back at it. There's something really profound about our awareness and how it gives us access to something greater. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let me continue the story. So, we're in Texas now, and I'm like, my friend was like, hey, why don't you just come back with us to North Carolina? So I was like, all right, that's great, let's do it. I had a bunch of friends from North Carolina that I met during that trip, and I was loving the interaction we were having. And I was like, all right, that's great. So I got myself a hotel. I ended up meeting another friend who introduced me to Spirit Science, a cartoon that explains spiritual concepts. And I was like, all these ideas were like expanding the way that I was experiencing life. Then we go to a friend's house for a gathering, and while we were there, one of the guys was like, let's play a game called Energy Balls. I'm gonna throw energy balls at all of you. Now, the great thing about this group was everyone was just like, oh, okay, let's do it. Like, that sounds exciting, like, let's do it. No one had any reservations or restrictions or was in their mind about it. Everyone was just like, let's do it. And so we all sat around a circle, and he asked us to close our eyes and to mention when we felt the energy and where we felt it at. And I remember I felt it pulse against my stomach. It was like a force meeting my stomach. And I was so excited and curious about what all this was. So after the game, I went up to the guy and I was like, what is this? Like, please let me know about this. And this is when he began informing me about the concepts of yoga, of meditation, of breath work, and this other awareness of reality. And that turned into a bunch of days of just like, I was asking so many questions. I was like a child in a candy shop. Bestow upon me wisdom. And then that led to like these weird experiences happening. So New York started to clear up with Hurricane Sandy, and we were able to travel again. I was getting ready to make my way back home. And for like 4 days, back-to-back things would happen, miss my bus or something would happen. It felt like the land was keeping me there. Like, we're not done with you yet. One day I was getting ready to go to the bus to go back to New York. My friend got pulled over, I missed the bus. Something else happened. The second day I missed my bus. And then like for 3 or 4 days, it was like 4 days,